Up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. Today we got some breaking news, a lot of news actually to go through. Some interesting stuff has happened throughout the night in the Audrii Cunningham case. She is a missing person out of Livingston, Texas, not too far from where I'm at. I'm out here in San Antonio, Texas, so this is kind of close to home, just a few hours away, not too far. But the first thing that came out was a vehicle of interest. This vehicle right here. This is a Chevrolet Suburban. Looks like it's bluish green in color. This vehicle was put out to the public by police last night, saying if you have seen this vehicle or have any information about this vehicle, to contact them. And today, well, let's look into it. Let's look into this vehicle. I wonder if this image here is of the morning of the disappearance, right? There's a few things that we can look at. There seems to be mud or something clinging to the back of the vehicle right there. There's a lot of mud on the exhaust pipe and what looks like a minor accident here in the back end. Now that could have been done anytime, but the sides of the vehicle definitely dirty. Looks like it may have been in the mud. Well, this is that same vehicle. Now this vehicle belongs or has been operated by McDougal. I'm sorry, Stephen McDougal, the what do you call it? The roommate of the father of the missing little girl. Now this is an image from yesterday when they were speaking with him. Now, I think that if that image that we just saw is of the morning that the little girl went missing, I do find this image to be concerning. As you can see, a lot of mud has been taken off of this vehicle. And you have what looks like you have mud up here, mud down here. Looks like there's a wipe in between, or somebody trying to wash this vehicle very quickly and didn't get everything. Do you guys see that? Let's put this way real quick. All right, so this is McDougal. He was talking with officers yesterday. We'll get into that. And this is a video from, oh wait, hold on. Did I share the wrong one? I did share the wrong one. My bad. Hold on, guys. Now, I'm going to show you guys that actual video where he's talking to the officers. There you go. This is it. My bad, guys. I wish I could zoom in a little bit. You can see he's adamant about something there. Hand in his pocket, talking with his right hand. Sizing up the officer. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Now, apparently there was an arrest last night as well. We'll get into that. And it actually was Stephen McDonald. This says here, the search continued for the missing 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham in Polk and San Jacinto County. Continued. Police a few hours ago arrested Don Stephen McDougal for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Authorities have not released the details as to if this is related to the disappearance of Audrii Cunningham. The search is to continue in the morning. Just as moments ago, the cold front blew in with the temperatures dropping, high winds, and white caps on Lake Livingston. And that is that's very accurate. I've seen a couple of videos of some folks that are out there on the lake. And yeah, it's not a good day to be on the lake with the boat. Here's a image. I got a couple of more images of him. from his arrest. But yeah, he's been arrested for aggravated assault. I don't know when this assault happened. I don't know if this assault is relative or related to this case. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. But here's a video of the green Suburban, bluish Suburban that they were looking for. Again, as you notice, it's pretty dirty. And hold on. I gotta share the audio too. My bad, guys. Give me a sec.
We want to get to a new development this morning. Within the last hour, this vehicle has been identified as a vehicle of interest by authorities in the search for missing 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham.
Audrii Cunningham was the last seen near Lake Livingston and was reported missing after she didn't show up to a bus stop or school on Thursday morning, which ultimately prompted an Amber Alert. The search is now focused on.
That's just a brief thing there. Now, last night, the mother also spoke out. And this is Cassie.
And breaking tonight, we are hearing from the mother of a missing 11-year-old girl in Polk County.
Audrii Cunningham vanished on the way to school Thursday morning. It triggered an Amber Alert and a major search involving local, state, and federal authorities.
Authorities spent the day looking in an area around Lake Livingston up in Polk County.
Matt Doherty is live tonight at the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Matt, what do we know right now?
Well, enemy authorities will resume their search first thing tomorrow morning. It was halted earlier tonight once it got dark. However, this is still a very active investigation.
David, this is the stuff that you see on TV, and you wonder, you can only imagine what the family and the parents are going through, and there's not words for it.
Through tears, Cassie Matthews, the mother of 11-year-old Audrii, pleaded for help finding her missing daughter tonight.
She was allegedly dropped off at her bus stop, and later on we come to learn that she never even made it on the bus.
Just hours before, investigators were playing things close to the vest, letting on that they know more than they're willing to tell the public right now.
And I can understand the public's concern that we're not giving out a lot of information, but the end here is to find Audrii and bring her home.
They haven't said if they found any sort of evidence in the area they spent searching Friday night near Lake Livingston. And despite the rumors in this small town, they won't say if there is a suspect connected to the girl's disappearance. Audrii's mother says her daughter was living with her father, who has custody, as well as her grandmother and another man. Family members tell us that other man would drive Audrii to the bus stop each morning before school. No one at the family's home would speak with us tonight. Meanwhile,
so this guy would drive her every day to school. So it wasn't something that was uncommon, or at least to the bus stop. And apparently grandma was also there. Now, I am a little bit concerned that none of that side of the family wants to, come out and talk and, say something about, her disappearance, her being missing, anything, from that side of the family. But they could be just very much distraught and just don't want to see the, cameras and things like that. So I don't want to go too far down that, but just kind of take a note of that. At this point, grandma don't want to talk. I don't think, I don't know if dad is there. I think he may be out of town.
what? Cassie Matthews says she's devastated.
You feel it's a roller coaster. You're broken. You're mad. You're lost. You're empty. And right now, I'm empty. And I'm not gonna be the same unless my baby is returned to me. And neither is her family, anyone in her family, any of us.
It's a sad situation. I mean, she looks very much distraught, the mother. It's unfortunate. I couldn't imagine what she's going through. Here's another clip of her speaking. I think it's the same thing that she was saying, actually. We'll hold on to that one for a minute. Now, this is from a couple of places that I have found on a group. I think it's called the Audrii Cunningham discussion on Facebook. And there's a comment here from Kelly saying that he had tried to sell her that Suburban at 10:43 Wednesday night before the disappearance. So this Suburban from this guy was trying to sell it that night before she was reported missing. And remember that morning where she had asked the mother of Casey had asked Stephen, she could speak. She was looking forward to speaking with her daughter, and he never responded until late that night saying, "Hey, have you seen her? Have you heard from her?" Which she wasn't allowed to contact or anything like that. So it's kind of weird that, you would go straight there. But then maybe perhaps past history comes into play there, and we'll get to that. Ashton asks, why weren't police called until that evening? From what I understand, they thought she went on the bus. They didn't get the notification that she wasn't there. Didn't make it to school. Dad's working out of town. Mom's not in the picture, so she's probably not getting that notification. From what I understand, she hadn't seen her daughter like in 6-7 years. And, so I highly, she's not in custody, so she's not going to be on the, on the list to get that phone call. You know what I mean? And, so those persons that would are probably grandma and probably dad. And it's probably dad first, being primary custodial parent, him being out of town working. That's probably why it didn't get through, or a good reason why it didn't get through. All right. So he tried to sell that vehicle. Now, this is something I also saw. I don't know how true this is. This is from people that are close to, claim to be from the area and close to this. It says here, and they're referring to her mother, Cassie, had kidnapped her, referencing Audrii. She's unstable, but just because she's the mother, everyone thinks she's good. There's reasons why she didn't live with her mother. Somebody said she kidnapped her before. She's like, yeah. How people jump far. Doesn't know the facts about her. Doesn't keep the mother from a kid unless there's a valid reason. And from what I heard was about 6 years ago, she did take her daughter to Lubbock without permission or something like that. I don't know how true it is or how accurate. That's just kind of some of the things that I was reading and seeing. So this was something that her mom, Cassie Matthews, had put on in a comment that I wanted to read to you guys about the situation. So it says, my daughter was ripped from me by her father and his family a while back, and I've been denied any type of contact in any way, even refusing my rights of visitation with her, with threats to my life, plus from her father and family. I've been stacking my proof of such in hopes to take her father to court with enough evidence. With my proof of such in hopes to take her father to court with enough evidence of being kept from me that the judge couldn't deny me the custody I fight for. Stephen is a stranger amongst other random strange men that have been allowed to live in the home of my daughter. Stephen was left in charge of Audrii as her babysitter when her father goes out on the boat to work, because the father's mother is heavily mentally unstable and doped out on mental meds 24/7. So this is the grandma that she's referring to, and cannot care for herself. This is all the information I've retained from other people around the family. If anyone they allow in their home speak to me in any way, that they are instantly cut off and never allowed to step foot on the property or around any of the family members again. Now, recently, Stephen started to message me about Audrii like he wanted to help her see me. I've known the man wasn't right from the jump, but used him to get any information I could about my child. Last night, he messaged me trying to... I'm trying to find it real quick. Last night, he messaged me trying to convince me to come alone without my fiance to the park around the corner from my home to meet up with him and see my daughter. He insisted Audrii didn't like my fiance and she doesn't even know him. Red flags are flying high to me at this point, but I play along with the idea in hopes to get my daughter in sight and hands after school so that I could call her father myself to come get her from this man. All right, so some things are starting to make sense now. There was some text messages that were going on, and I can go through them, where she was asking, I want to talk to my daughter first. I want to see my daughter first before she goes and meets this guy. And I thought that it was a situation where they knew each other and they'd been talking for a while and they were friendly. There was uh, the the part about you know, if he was trying to hook up with her, he'd be straightforward with it. And so, and there was a lot of messages that didn't come forward from before. So I feel like, and I think it was probably something to the effect of meeting, without the fiance, which his name is Justin. Now, now that she was asking to talk to her daughter or see her just because, she wants to make sure that's what she wants to do and this and that. I thought that was weird. It didn't make sense to me. But if she had some indication that this guy was trying to set her up, to go meet up and it'd be some kind of situation against her, I think that maybe that's what she was trying to do, is to validate that that's what he was, he was in fact bringing her daughter. That's starting to make sense. It says, I was only trying to keep her father from pressing false charges or giving me further backlash or my daughter further backlash for being around me. He talks about all the chaos they put my daughter through at the home, and he isn't the only mouth I've heard these things from. He talks about all the chaos they put my daughter through at the home. Oh, gotcha. And he isn't the only mouth I've heard these things from. Well, he tells me he is taking her to school this morning and then coming to me with her after school. I realized that wasn't the case, and I messaged, I guess today isn't going to happen, and have a good day. While fiance tried to contact her father directly due to me being blocked from always. I don't know if there was a missing sentence, but this is the next message that was put on there. Heard these things from. Well, he tells me he's talking. Oh, yeah, here it goes. I realized that wasn't the case. I messaged, I guess today isn't going to happen. Have a good day. Well, my fiance tried to contact her father directly due to me being blocked from always of communication with him to let him know something wasn't right about Stephen and the whole situation. At 7 p.m., her father's mother goes to my fiance's mother's home in the same neighborhood as they live, claiming she is missing and never got off the bus. Her father received a message from the school at 1 today saying she wasn't at school, and he didn't even attempt to contact the bus barn until 5 p.m. They didn't contact law enforcement until after 7 p.m. How do you not notice your 11-year-old daughter hasn't made it home from the bus stop for 3 to 4 hours? Stephen said he was taking her to school. Then when she came up missing, he all of a sudden said he was taking her to the bus stop. Things don't add up. And why did he push so hard to get me to meet him alone? I need answers, and I need my baby to come home. This man clearly knows what's going on or where my baby is, and I know in the pit of my stomach. That's concerning, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, that is extremely concerning. Thank you, Jennifer, for your $1.99 super chat. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. So, some interesting things here, man. It definitely does sound like something bad may have really happened. So here's a couple of pictures of this guy in custody last night. It says here offense date. It says aggravated assault offense date 2/16/2024. So I don't think this is for something old. This is for something that occurred yesterday. Huh. Interesting. I wonder if maybe perhaps, somebody went to his house to go talk to him and he brandished a weapon or something. And they're charging him with aggravated assault. It's probably what it is. My opinion. My speculation. And he don't look like he was, roughed up or anything. But yeah, offense date 2/16/2024. Interesting stuff there. This is from yesterday morning. This is Cassie Matthews saying, just received a call from a parent of a little girl who used to ride the bus with Audrey, and Audrey had told her that sometimes she goes walking in the woods behind her house, her dad's house, to look at animals. If anything, I would say start looking in the woods behind the back of Livingston Estates 2 and 3 that connect to the state park. Interesting. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I mean, if somebody did call and said that this was a possibility, I'd want somebody to go check it out. So just to kind of go back through some of the stuff we went through yesterday, she was last seen at 7 a.m. on Thursday at the 100 block of Lakeside Drive in Livingston. This is who she is. You guys have seen her. If you've heard anything, please contact authorities. This is her mother, Cassie Matthew. This is her father, Joshua Cunningham. And this is Stephen McDougal. I don't know. I mean, does he look like the prime babysitter that you're gonna, keep your kid around, especially with the rap sheet that he has? Jackie asks, is a domestic violence aggravated assault? No, it depends. I mean, it could be, but it would have said family violence on there. Aggravated assault, family violence enhanced. And I think in this situation, that would be a second degree felony, first degree felony, somewhere around there, because it's enhanced for the family aspect. Since it just says aggravated assault, it's somebody that has never lived with him. So it's not a roommate, because a roommate would be also considered family violence. It's not just somebody that you're related to. If you're married, in a relationship with, or even in a roommate with, and that can constitute even, like friends, right? If you have a buddy of yours, like me and if me, Blue, and Jaime decided to move in together in this big old, house or whatnot, and we decide one day we have an argument and Blue, hits Jaime, that would be considered family violence just because we live in the house together. So, it's none of those people. It's definitely somebody who he's not affiliated like that. Maybe it could be a friend or things like that, but it's not somebody. So it's not, the father. It's not the grandma. It's not. I mean, it could be the mom. He could have threatened her or something like that. That's possible. Let's see. Yeah, the swastika tattoo. He was. Yeah. This is him. Now, he's a swinger as well. He's looking for a couple in Livingston. And this was his rap sheet for the most part. I mean, going back to 2000, everything from public intoxication to DWI to theft of firearms, felony DWI, false report to peace officer, evading arrest, resisting arrest, unlawful carrying of a weapon, disorderly conduct, possession of dangerous drugs, possession of marijuana, theft, disorderly conduct, aggravated assault in 2019, another possession of it's probably cocaine or meth, evading arrest again, and then he had a no plea, no contest for attempted indecency with a child, enhanced enticing. With enhanced enticing, attempted indecency with a child with enhanced enticing. What made it enhanced? Maybe perhaps that he lived with the person? I got to look into it. Is it like a family member that would make that enhanced? I don't remember this I remember the charge, obviously, and I remember what indecency with a child is, and enticing. I can't remember what the enhancement is for enticing. Enticing is merely like, telling somebody who's underage that, to leave their parents and to move in. Like, for instance, the most, the common form of enticing is where, like, if you have a couple that is separated or divorced, and you have a mom and a dad, let's just say the mom has custody, and you have the dad telling the child to, move in with him, to leave the mom, and, to want to move in and talk her or him, that child, into moving in with that parent instead. That is considered enticing. And that's the most common way, but it also happens with strangers, where you have somebody who's grooming a child, and then telling them to leave, meet up at the park, things like that. That would be considered enticing. And so these were the messages that were out yesterday between Stephen McDougal and Cassie Matthews. And like I said, I mean, it seemed weird reading it yesterday without any context, right? It almost seemed like they knew each other, but no, they didn't. Don't look that way, at least. And it does kind of sound like she was concerned. And this is something that he had actually posted up. He says, "I definitely didn't hurt that baby. Anyone that knows me knows I didn't. And my whereabouts was right there knocking on doors, trying to find video footage. Yes, of course, I got took to the station and questioned all night, and I was let go because I didn't do anything. What I do on a regular basis." Well, Mr. McDougal, my concern is the what do you call it, your vehicle there, and how they're still looking for that. I'll kind of go through some of y'all's comments. If you have any questions, please put a couple stars there, and I'll try to go back a little bit and come through. I wonder who he tried to assault. Yeah, I don't know. Creepy dude. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. But real quick, let me pull this back up. All right, so this is my concern, is how dirty this vehicle is. And you can see, look right here, you can see that dirt mark. That is right there. Right. You have this little upside, like maybe a backwards 7 looking dirt mark. Let's see if that's over here. It's that. So it's not really a dirt mark. But this right here, right by the tail light, that's there. The rest of it looks wiped down. Look at the tailpipe, doesn't have any mud. There's no mud on the back of the hitch here. This vehicle was washed. Now, when would it have been washed? The why would it have been washed? It's suspicious as hell. And the fact that he didn't get everything washed correctly tells me it was done very quickly. That's my biggest concern in this case about this guy. And, well, I mean, obviously there's more, but this right now, that's a big red flag for me, that it was dirty the day of, and not dirty, but there are clearly parts that he missed. Does he have crimes against children in his rap? Yeah. The attempted enticing of a child. I read on a Facebook group it was a aggravated DV. I mean, it could be, but it said there on the charge sheet that it was just aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So if it was DV, then or a domestic violence thing, it would say there family violence. It's an enhanced charge. It would take that from, I want to say, a second-degree felony to a first-degree felony. Blood in his vehicle, not sure, but they have it. They've impounded it and they're looking at it now. Yes, if anybody has any questions, put that before that I can read them. That'll help out a lot. What a creep. Yeah. Why is this charge aggravated assault with a deadly weapon only? Well, I'm not sure if the charge is related to this case, is related to the disappearance of Audrii. You know, it could have been, like I said, somebody, you know, knocking on his, you know, door to ask him questions. It could have been a podcaster, for all we know, going to knock on his door and ask questions. And yeah, well, some people you knock on the door, it's not, you shouldn't, especially if you're not law enforcement or protecting yourself. I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know what happened, but I can see that maybe perhaps somebody approached him to ask him a question about this situation, and he got mad, got froggy, you know. But it would say family violence on there if it was, you know, anything to do with the father of the little girl, because, you know, they're roommates. They live together, you know, the grandma. So it's not them. You know, I think we would have probably heard something if it was Cassie or somebody related to that party. So I'm assuming it's probably just somebody who, well, let me rephrase. It's not a police officer, because it would say there. And it would be I think that that would be a first degree felony for sure, if not higher. So, yeah, based on the charge and well, just based on the charge, it just kind of tells me a few things of who it's not. We can kind of deduce that. And, you know, it could have been he went to the bar and, you know, got into a big old fight with somebody, or pulled out a weapon and threatened somebody. That would be aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Try to run over someone. That would be aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I'm not sure. Let's see. Has dad come home, and is he in Alaska on board? It doesn't sound like it. Based on what the mom had said, it sounds like, you know, he goes to work on the boat early in the morning. It don't sound like he's out somewhere else. It sounds like he's there. He hasn't come forward. Nobody from the house has spoken to the media. And apparently he did get a notification at 1 p.m., but didn't call, didn't check up on it. And then, you know, was surprised that she didn't come home, and they didn't call until 7. Let's see. I grew enticing with money, gifts. I mean, it's time with communication with money, with mommy. Yeah, I mean, enticing would be like what mom was, you know, that can be construed as enticing, you know, him, if there is no like visitation rights and things like that. And if it's like supervised rights and he's trying to set something up to go and see her like this behind dad's back with the custodial parents, that can be considered enticing as well. Let's see. No way in hell I'd let somebody like that around my kid. Yeah. Could I buy you a puppy be enticing? I mean, it could be. But if somebody, you know, if somebody runs away and they report that, that's probably the charge that you're going to get. It may be even what they charge this guy with, you know, enhanced, aggravated, you know, maybe. Nah, I think that aggravated enhanced part is probably some sort of like phone evidence or something. They'd have to have evidence of it, not just statements. You know, if they just had statements, I think it'd be kind of difficult to do the aggravated aspect. But I don't know. There's a lot of ways it can go. Did her mother lose custody due to her drugs, arrest, or what? I'm not sure why she lost custody. I heard she left with the little girl to Lubbock about 7 years ago, and that's the only thing that I've been able to find on the situation. I do know that she also had some arrests before. I have a mugshot of hers that I don't feel like is appropriate to put out right now. You know, Um, at this point, I don't think there's any signs that are indicating that she has anything to do with her daughter's disappearance. And so to put out a mugshot to, talk about something that she may have done in her past, to add humiliation on top of what she's going through now, it's not appropriate. Had bad vibes from the image. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to scroll quick. Swinger because his partners is Audrey's dad. Did someone get jealous and try to use Audrey as a pawn? It's possible. I think that this is probably more straightforward. You got a guy who's, got a rap sheet, has been, apparently there was somebody that came forward also that said that he had tried to, assault her when she was 10 years old, and not in the assault, like, physical assault, the sexual kind. And so he's had a rap sheet of the enticing aspect. Apparently there's at least one accusation. I don't know how true it is or not. Somebody said that there was. So, if you have that type of person, last person to see your kid, he was the last person to see the kid. Conflicting story. He was supposed to take her to school, drop her off at the bus stop. She never got on the bus. Those type of things. So, yeah, you got a vehicle here. You got a vehicle that appears to be cleaned. There's a picture of a vehicle. I'm assuming it's from the day of the incident. There is a dirt mark on the back, quarter panel here, right here by the tail light that is there on this picture. But the rest of this stuff, all this mud back here. Look at the windshield, the windows, the top of the roof. Gone. Just this, a little bit here. You can see the roof, but that tells me somebody washed this car fairly quickly. How are people so reckless when it comes? I think it has more to do with some folks are a little bit naive. They think that this type of thing won't happen to me. That happens to other people. I know this person, I talk to this person, stuff like that. But yeah, you really need to, make sure who's around your kids. A person commits an offense with the intent to interfere with the lawful custody of a child younger than 18 and knowingly entices, persuades, or takes the child from the custody of. Yeah. So if you're trying to just, say, hey, come here, move in with me, live over here with me, whether it's parent or not. Yeah, it's enticing. Let's see. I want to hear the father. Yeah, I would too. A parent, guardian, or person standing instead of the parent or guardian of that child. Yeah, I wonder what's the enhancement though. Like, is it? I wonder what. Yeah, I got to look that up because that's just the enticing aspect. Let's see. Too many cases like this happening right now. It makes me so mad and sad. Yeah, I feel so bad for this little girl. Like, I'm hoping that the best comes out. Maybe she did go, wandering off into the woods looking at animals, and she'll be found safe and maybe just a little dehydrated. I'm hoping for the best outcome. I'm a little bit concerned about their efforts though. They're looking in specific places based on information that they have of persons of interest. These are the terms that they use. Now they put out a picture of a vehicle, and it ends up being the vehicle of the roommate of the father, Stephen McDougal, who has a rap sheet. And I'm assuming that, they're going to these places based on his cell activity. They probably put him in these places for a little bit of time. And he's probably in that one area where they were looking at near the dam the most. And that's why they're probably focusing in their search there. Can the dad be charged with anything for leaving her with him? Yeah, I think you can. I don't know if they will, but I think you can, because it's, child neglect isn't necessarily just leaving a child alone or whatever. So if you leave a child in a dangerous situation, And, this guy's rap sheet, I don't know if he's, I don't know if he's a registered, sex offender or not. I don't think I saw that, when it came to that enticing charge. So I'm not sure if you'd have to have knowingly leave the child in danger as part of the element of the crime. So I think that's going to be the part that's going to be, hard to prove. If he says something to the effect like, I knew the guy, he seemed like a good dude. I had no idea he had a rap sheet like this from before. Yeah, I think he can probably get away with that, to be honest with you. Even though he probably shouldn't. I'm sure he'll say he washed it to sell it. Yeah, that's true. However, he was trying to sell it the day before, but yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what he'll say. I washed it to try to sell it. Yep. Let's see. Why let the other man drive their daughter around? No idea. No idea. The mom had accused dad of just going off and leaving anybody with her kid, including strange men, and accused his mother of having to take medications that leave her incapacitated. So I'm not sure if those things have something to do with anything. I think that's a scuff mark up here. Maybe. Go back. Let's see. It looks bigger. That's why. To me, it looks much larger there. And here it looks more faded, but it could be a scuff mark. The only thing is, why isn't this part scuffed? If you hit here, you hit here. Oh, it is. You can see the little bit right there. Huh. It could be a scuff mark. I can't tell. To me, it looks more like dirt, but it could be. What? Thank you, Afton, for your gifted membership. We appreciate that so much. Thank you. And Tom Mann comes on $2 super chat saying, "Late, have they found the girl?" No, not to my knowledge yet. Let me do a quick update real quick and see if there's anything showing up, and see if anything comes up. All right. No, nothing yet. All right. Let me check out this real quick on the old interwebs. And it doesn't look like there's any update. It doesn't look like they found her yet. I know that the lake and the cold front that has come in has created an issue with with getting boats out there on the lake. Huh. I don't know. This is something new. Let me save this image. All right. So this is another image from his booking. And it's the same thing. It says aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. It would say FV if it was family violence or domestic violence somewhere in there. Probably towards the end. But the offense date is definitely yesterday. And he hasn't seen a magistrate yet, which means he hasn't gotten bail or bond, whole 9 yards. They're probably going to hold him there for a while and grill him. I'd hope so, at least. Yeah, 100%. It's not that far away from here. Not that far. Texas code doesn't explain it. It looks like it can be interfering in custody matters. It definitely is interfering in custody matters, but you can interfere in custody matters when it comes to a predator is interfering with custody. Telling a child to come over and stuff like that without the permission or knowledge of their parents is enticing to a certain extent. You can articulate that when well, I've done it when I've arrested someone. I've had a person who he was trying to get this girl to go to his house after school type of stuff. And so I'll leave it at that. Maybe they have evidence, a lot of blood in his vehicle, and they can charge him with an assault with a deadly weapon because of the amount of blood. Even cleaned up, they can see. I don't know if you can, because you have to also. There's no proof that blood got there from a weapon and or from an assault. Somebody could have hurt themselves. Somebody could have accidentally hurt themselves. Things like that. So, as suspicious as it may look, that would be the case. Could they have found blood and stuff like that in his car? Maybe. I don't know, but I don't think it's if they found blood in his car, they're going to attribute it to, assault with a deadly weapon. Thank you, Jack. Jack says, thanks for always talking things through and being fair and impartial. Facts matter. 100%. Thank you. Nothing yet from Dad. Dad should be charged with neglect. I mean, he could, if you can prove that he was, that he knew or had beforehand knowledge of the kind of person that he was, the rap sheet that he had, you might be able to articulate a charge, plea it down to something. I don't know if it'll fly in court, but you can probably, do something like that, get him to plead down to something else. In the text messages, he told the mother, I'm your daughter's favorite person. She can keep a secret. Yeah, that one I saw. That one was suspicious as hell. I'm not going to lie. In fact, we can go through those text messages again real quick. And we'll go through them here in a second. Let me just kind of get caught up real quick. If I was notified my child never made it to school, I would call the police right away. You just never know. Yeah. Especially, in today's age as well. I don't know if this little girl had a phone or not, but most kids do now. And you would think that if that happened, at the very least, you try to contact her. But if you didn't have a phone and she was supposed to be in school, she didn't make it to school. Yeah. I'd contact the school. I'd contact Steven like, hey, did you drop her off at school like you said you did? You know what I mean? Any type of luring a child away is evil. Yeah, I agree. Is there any evidence that she left the house that morning? Not to my knowledge. I think one of the people that they're going to talk to are those that were on the bus. They saw anybody at the bus stop. They saw that vehicle arrive at the bus stop. One of the suspicious things will be is, this guy claims he dropped her off at the bus stop. If they get his phone locations and he never made it out there to the bus stop, that's going to be pretty suspicious to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this guy has the cognitive thinking to think that he needs to drive by the school or the bus stop so that way it appears that his vehicle was there for a short amount of time that he dropped her off. And he could be a smart guy. I don't know. These parents are going to have to live with the mistake they made as parents now because of the low life POS. Yeah, I agree. Do you think that he'll say he cleaned the truck for selling? I think that's probably what he could say. I would, I'd be asking like, well, when did you wash the car? If he washed the truck, after she was reported missing, then I think that's also going to be suspicious. If he washed it before that, then maybe not. Then he can use that term saying, yeah, I was trying to sell it. But that's crazy. Who witnessed child at bus stop besides roommate? No one to my knowledge. Now, that doesn't mean nobody did. I just don't know. Enhancement could be a relative or someone entrusted in your care, couldn't it? Yeah, I think so. I think that, or, I think that it had to do something with a sexual alluring. If I remember, I'll go look at the charge again. But I thought it was enhanced enticing with something else. I got to go back and read it. Echo search on the scene. Yes, they are. They have been there. Thinking marks not washed off car paint from old accidents. Your thought? It's possible. It's possible. Is the bus stop 15 minutes from the school? I'm not sure. I gotta find out what school she was going to and map that out. Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll through these fast, see if I see anything starred. Not that I'm seeing. Just found this channel. Yeah, I was a long time ago though, my man. It's been almost over 15 years. Tom comes in with a $5 super chat. 30 years ago in Texas, he wouldn't make it through the interrogation. Texas law enforcement had a special way of dealing with trash like this. Insanity. Don't disagree with you there. What is up, Jay Turkey in the house? What's up, Hyman? Okay, so all right, let's read these real quick, and then we'll see if anything else comes out. This is a conversation between Stephen McDougal and Cassie Matthews. He said, "Ain't nothing wrong with me. I wasn't meaning disrespectful, but something that you would want and can't talk about it on here." So he tried to video call her, and it didn't happen. And she goes, "It's not something you can call me about." And he goes, "I did call. I just think the way you came about that was extremely inappropriate and was disrespectful to not only Justin, to me as well." And then they did a video chat for 42 seconds. There was a missed audio call, but then a video chat that he initiated. And he goes, she goes, "What's up? I'm super effing livid right now, honestly, because I don't understand. Why are you livid? I never disrespected you. Your baby has been asking me about you." She goes, "This all comes out weird and wrong. And it's Valentine's Day, not my favorite day. And I lost my very first best friend on this day. And that just doesn't sound right. And it looked bad. And I don't know. And what do you mean asking you about me? What has she been asking?" "Sweetie, I am as straightforward as it comes. If I was just talking to you to try to F, I would have done and tried." She goes, "Touche, I give you that." See, that just kind of saying that, like, "Touche, I will give you that," kind of told me that they knew each other for some time. Like, she was aware that he was a straightforward guy. You know what I mean? And so, but now knowing that, he had started messaging her out of the blue, saying that, trying to get her to meet him by herself, wouldn't let her talk to her daughter and to ensure that that's what her daughter was wanting, and that's what was going to happen. There's a lot of red flags in this once you read it in that context. She asked me if I ever talked to you and if you were as bad as they say you are. She goes, "Just came off wrong and upset." Wow, as bad as they say. What did they say? What did you say? So, she asked me if I ever talked to you and if you were as bad as they say you are. "Oh yeah, I made it look like you. Oh yeah, they made it look like you were just horrible. I told her that you are good and you are fun to hang with." So he's trying to get her on his side at this point. He's saying that he's defending her to the little girl and trying to get her to drop her guard. That's the way I'm reading this. "When did she ask this?" "She asked me yesterday going to school. I'm surprised she thought of me." So it's been like 7 years. She hasn't talked to her. None of those things. So out of the blue, this happens. So that's why she's asking, "I'm surprised she thought about me during that moment." Tom N comes in with a becoming a new YouTube member. I appreciate that, my man. Thank you. Let's see. She scared me because of their reaction, huh? I didn't mean didn't you say they kept her inside for a month after I seen her that day at Justin's mom's? So, Justin is her fiance. And it's weird that her little girl would be at her fiance's mom's house. Unless there's like some big old connection there. You know what I mean? Unless Justin also knows either Stephen or Joshua, the father. She does all the time. Yes, exactly. She is not allowed outside by herself in the evening. They told her that you are in the woods. She is confused about the situation, but I told her that you are not hiding in the woods. But we talk. What's wrong with him? Is he on drugs? That is effing stressed. That is mental as him thinking I'm going to steal her in the night or that I live in the effing woods behind his mom's house. That's some serious crazy S. It's like they are scaring her and brainwashing her and with literal insane thoughts with only a child would believe. So she doesn't want to know me like they make it out to be. Makes me wonder if Lucky has the beginning stages of his mom's mental problems. So I'm assuming Lucky is what she calls Joshua, the father. Mental problems and no as talking just concerned for him in general as a person. Or tell me, is that the whole effing family just all throwed off in general, acting like they effing like an effing cult or some S? Might not want to drink the Kool-Aid, man, if you know what I mean. He goes, not him. Not like I'm going to react upon this and call on this because I want what's best for my kid, and being everything that fuel her head with wouldn't be anything in my favor. Like I said, I told him I talked to you. So he's saying that he had told Lucky Joshua that he is apparently, and Stephen McDougal is talking to Cassie Matthews, Audrey's mom. Okay. But it makes me sick to my stomach that they think that's okay. She's an innocent, fragile child mind, and them warping it with chaos is not right, man. Well, don't, but I might take you out to the dock to fish and accidentally pull up with her to fish. The one by their house. Really, anywhere. They're asking for trouble and setting me up for failure. Not at all. I do not in any way need to be set up to lose my child even more. Lucky would lose it if he knew. And is this what she asked you to do? I'm your daughter's favorite person. She would not tell. That's the biggest one also that was concerning to me. Because that sounds, like I said yesterday when I read that part, I was like, man, that sounds almost like grooming, like, he's training her to keep secrets, things like that. It's kind of scary. Or what y'all maybe talked about for her to see me. She wants to meet you. I told her I'm on your team. I will do what I can. I want to meet her too, but if this comes back on me in a bad way, I can lose her forever. I would kill you then myself, man. No threat, but a promise. I would not. As long as no one says anything about it being set up, no one would even know. And she wouldn't say anything to them. The more I think about it, could this have been a setup for something a lot worse? Like for instance, maybe not a lot worse. I mean, you can't get worse for what he's doing, but what I mean is like worse than what he's claiming it to be. Because it almost sounds like he's like if he meets up with her by herself, and let's just say Audrey's not there, and he lies to her, and he has her there by herself, and he does something, she might be afraid to go to the police because she was there to meet her daughter illegally. And that kind of feels like that's what was about to happen. that he was trying to get her to go out there, and if something happens, what can she do? She goes to the police and say, hey, this happened to me because he was messaging me and he wanted me to meet my daughter, and this happened and I don't have custody and I was supposed to meet her, and it sounds like something else is going on, like maybe perhaps when you're not supposed to see her during that time and you're trying to. I don't know. Just a thought there. There's a park down the road from my house. Would that be okay? And you and Justin would have to sit nearby and bullshit or pretend that you can, or pretend to do, you can listen if you need to, but for my protection as well, I couldn't be alone. See, I think she's picking up on this. I mean, Justin can walk around the park and we can talk to you. This whole thing scares me, and that's fine. Like, for real. Why doesn't she? It's okay. We don't have to. No, I want to. Just please understand that I am as scared as she is. She's the only one made to feel terrified about things like this. And it's sad because she is my daughter and I am her mother, and we should be happy and excited to get to see each other, at least not scared to do so. Don't you see anything wrong with that, man? Please understand. But yes, I want to see her. Yes, I want to talk to her and answer any questions she has truthfully, no matter what, or no matter how much that it may hurt me. So yeah, and to me, it seems like he's trying to take advantage of a desperate woman wanting to see her child. She deserves the truth on my end, and also know how much I do love her, because at this point, she's got to be questioning if I do or not. He goes, oh, I see the wrong with it, and I am trying to fix what I see wrong. Okay. You're not a bad person. She deserves the chance to know that. When would you want to do this? You want to do it tomorrow? It's like the one thing I have you say, but before we meet tomorrow at the park, I need to hear her say it herself, either in a video or on the phone. This is what she wants, is to meet me and talk to me. She doesn't have to say nothing more or nothing less, please. See, when I was reading this yesterday for the first time without any context behind it, I was like, it sounds like this person because of the whole touche line. Like, this sounds like you think he might be lying. What makes you think that? And now that, we've got that little bit of context from her about, her feelings about him, what she didn't know, didn't really know him, and that he had started messaging her out of the blue. It does seem kind of serious there, because, you don't know what I've been through trying to have anything to do with her, or the harassment from his friends and such, because of the lies they have been told. I need reassurance. He goes, okay, I will take her to school tomorrow. After school, correct? Yes. What time would I need to be at the park? And you can guarantee I will hear her say it and that she wants me to be there. Yes, I'll take her to school and I'll have you on the phone. I will not force anything on her. It seems like there's been enough of that already. Okay, when do you take her to school? At 7. I'll be awake by 6:30 or 6:40. I do love her, and I pray that this is no setup for me for more bad things to come to me, when all I want to know is my child. So, like I said, she's super concerned about this entire situation, and I think that she sees the red flags in it. Good night. Hope to hear from her tomorrow. Good morning. This is the next day at 6:31. This is the day that she disappears. He goes, good morning. She goes, I hope to hear from her this morning, and please let her know that if she changed her mind, that is perfectly okay too, and I understand. Don't want her feeling pressured. So I know it's not going to be a thing today. So this is at 3:19, 3:20. So he never responded throughout the day after that. At 6:30 in the morning, 3:20 comes around. She goes, so I know it's not going to be a thing today, but when she's ready, please let me know. Y'all have a good day, man. Like, he never responded. He had been responding to her before. I mean, he could have been busy. He could have been doing something. I don't know. By the sounds of it and the looks like it, it seems like he was driving around a lot of places, or in the woods out there. He goes, yes, ma'am, at 3:52. This is about 30 minutes later. And then, 3 hours later, he comes back with, have you seen Audrey? I dropped her off at the bus and she didn't get on and hasn't gotten home. So he went from dropping her off at school to now dropping her off at the bus. And she goes, no, Steven, where the F is my kid? So after reading that context, it's definitely a lot of concern there from the mom. And he was trying to set her up probably so when he found her, she'd be blamed. That could be it. But I don't know. Maybe. I think he was just trying to set her up to do something. And maybe he got, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that. I just hope she's okay. I'm the more I hear these texts, the more I think he's trying to create a scenario where everyone thinks mom is involved. He kept trying to get mom to text something incriminating. That's true. Creepy, sounds grooming and manipulating. I would say so. "100%, I'm your daughter's favorite person." Yeah, that's definitely a suspicious thing. In my opinion, he knew that she could keep secrets because he had possibly already been inappropriate with her in the past once, more than once, and she kept that secret. It may have been. I mean, I think they start off, typically when it comes to like grooming, it starts off with like little secrets. You'll get a person, we'll buy alcohol for a child, and it won't be anything other than that. Like, hey, keep this our secret. I'm going to buy you beer or wine or whatever the case may be. And that person goes off and does their thing. And then it just kind of builds from there. Right. And it goes from that to maybe some drugs, right? The person would hook them up with some marijuana or something like that. And then they start doing things inappropriate and then threaten them with the illegal things that they had done, saying, hey, they're going to find out that you did this. They're going to find out you were with this guy or this girl or whatever the case may be with those threats, and put the victim in a position where they feel that they can't tell anybody anything. They're ashamed. They feel that something could, legally could happen bad to them, things like that. And so that's how a lot of these people get away with this crap. Let's see. I think he already heard Audrey, and he wants it to look like mom did. That's possible. The thing about it, though, is like dad left in the morning, and I would assume, depending on when he left, if he had nothing to do with it, and this is also speculation there as well, if he had nothing to do with it, then there wouldn't be a sign at that point when he left to work of something that had occurred nefarious. It must have happened after that. Goes, works on his boat. I'm not sure how early that is, but obviously it's before 6:30 in the morning because he's not there. I would assume probably most when folks work on boats and stuff like that, or if they're working on a boat to put it on the water, it's usually early daybreak. So like 4 in the morning, 4:30. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, he literally enticed mom. Yeah, definitely trying to get her to go with him alone. 7 years is a long time not to see your kid. He had that lever. Yeah, you can tell that she was desperate, and he had, something that she wanted, or the illusion of something that she wanted. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. This guy have a record? Yeah, it's a pretty lengthy one. Daniel, what tactics can they use to get him to talk? This guy seems like he was mad, and he was just kind of talking and pointing out things. He was getting frustrated. The best way to do it is to ask him the same questions over in a different manner of ways, and to get him to slip up. I've done that on the show a couple of times where, I'll talk to somebody who, Gabriela Vargas was one. It wasn't on this show. It was actually on Truth and Transparency. Brian Koberger case where the defense's IGG witness was speaking. And I was asking her a bunch of questions, and it was, they were getting frustrated with me because they thought that I wasn't knowing what I was talking about. But at the end of the day, they basically told me that, the STR profile has nothing to do with the IGG, and that there's nothing that the IGG can do to take out the STR profile, which is what the information I wanted to get out. So, yeah, it is what it is. But asking the questions over and over again, this guy seems like he's frustrated. Make him more frustrated. Ask him more of those type of questions that are pissing him off. You want to control the situation. You want to put him in a room where he can't leave. Small room. Put yourself between him and the door. Maybe come in with a big ass envelope that says evidence on it, with a bunch of papers in it that probably don't have much on it. Maybe just the top little bit of it, and or a DVD, a couple DVDs that say surveillance tapes. They may be blank. I don't know. You don't know that, right? You come in with something that says evidence. You stack everything against him. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they charged him with the aggravated assault. They were looking for something to, find on him so they can keep him in the station. Until you charge somebody with something, you can't keep them there. They're free to leave. So find something, impound his vehicle. Impounded his vehicle. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I think somebody accused him of trying to run over. That he was trying to run him over. Maybe somebody trying to get in contact with him, try to talk to him, ran up to his vehicle and he swerved or got in his vehicle and peeled out or something like that. I can see that. I think that may have been it, because they impounded his vehicle. If this occurred at his house, right, or at his home or at somebody else's house, unless the vehicle was on their property, if it was in the street, like parked in a public area appropriately, there's no need to impound it. And I'm not sure you can legally. And if this incident occurred at his house and the vehicle is parked at his home, then you definitely can't impound it. I don't even think you can go through it. You have to ask for his permission. And so, yeah, just kind of food for thought. Let's see. Weird. Now, how did the father not suspect something from the roommate's creepy behavior? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, too, this guy had a lot of cases for drug related offenses, whether it was marijuana or dangerous drugs or higher felony graded drugs, which lead me to believe it's probably some sort of opiate, whether it be, cocaine or meth or something like that. Birds of a feather usually, flock together. So if this guy is, on a certain thing, he's a roommate, he's staying there, he's doing things in that house, there's a good chance that maybe perhaps, dad could be, and this is just 100% speculation, not saying that he is, or any of these guys are. I don't know them. I haven't seen any of the evidence against them. But if one guy is, participating recreationally into some of those things, I can see him involving his roommate friend in doing some of those criminal activities. Let's see. It makes the kid feel accepted as an adult, the beer and other behavior. Yeah. 100%. Audrii was seen after those messages, right? No. I don't know when was the last time she was actually seen. It stated that she was seen at the, 700 block of Livingston, but that was because that's where, or Livingston, I'm sorry. That's where this guy said he dropped her off at the bus stop. Right? Let's see. Audrii already been hurt at the time of these messages. I think he was trying to set up an MS situation, but because she couldn't come without hearing from Audrii, she wanted to meet her, and he changed the plan. It's possible. It's possible. I believe they still are. I think that they're having some trouble because of the weather right now. But all right, guys, I'm going to jump off of here. If anything else breaks a little bit later, I'll be coming back on tonight. If not, I'll be doing a members only live show tomorrow. Again, if you don't, if you can't become a member now and you want to catch that, members only podcast that comes out on YouTube, it gets aired on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on Tuesdays, so you can check that out there. You just obviously won't be a part of the live communication, the Q&A that I'll have with you guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate everybody that was here. Thank you all for liking and subscribing and being a part of the show. We'll be back then. And if anything drops tonight, I'll be back tonight. With that being said,